Hey love, it's Janelle, your relationship coach behind the Successful Invisible. And today we're getting into a viral conversation that's had the internet in a chokehold. You've probably seen the British Vogue article, "Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now?" And all the reactions online. But here's the real talk. It's not embarrassing to have a man. It's embarrassing to have that man, the one who drains you emotionally, lowers your standards, or makes you question your worth. What we're really seeing is women waking up to the fact that partnership shouldn't cost them their peace, their goals, or their glow. So in this video, we're going to unpack what's really behind this trend and what it says about modern dating and how to make sure you're not performing love at your own expense. Grab your tea because this one's going to be deep, funny, and a little triggering in the best way possible.
I would like to talk about the reactions to the "Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now?" article, because while the article itself was a sociological gem, the reactions and responses to the article have taken it to an entirely new level, really understanding where public society is with this topic. First things first, this article has been syndicated and published across so many different regions, and I think that first speaks to the virality of the article, it resonating with audiences across Vogue's region.
Fall in love. Fall in love again and again. 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 Fall in love again.
To those who are saying, why does this even matter? Is this even true? Shantae is making this up. That would not be happening if this was not a universal concept that people were tapped into wanting to discuss and feeling resonance with across regions. We're talking across cultural lines, across continent lines, across religious lines. People are interested in this topic because it is a widely spread phenomenon. Now, there are a couple of creators who have done an incredible job reacting to the article, and I think they encompass some of the most interesting nuances. So number one, let's all actually read the article before we start hopping into the comments. So this creator did a critical reading of this article, and I think it's incredibly important because there are so many people who never looked past the title to see the article. In case those of you aren't aware, the writer of the article does not always choose the title. A lot of the times that sits with the final editor, and I will understand that people thought that the article was misleading because of the title, but if you actually read the article, or maybe just listen to her critical reading, that's where we should start first. The reading comprehension levels, low. The critical thinking levels, low. And this article has really revealed that, and it's something that we've been seeing widespread amongst media. Because anyone who thought it was about a single woman not wanting to be coupled and just wanting to be single forever completely missed the mark. The article wasn't even about single women. It was about people who are in partnerships engaging in this behavior. Two, I loved this creator and how they broke it down as somebody who's a creator and has a partner, and acknowledge that they do not bring their boyfriend onto the internet because it's not cool. And I love that she commented that Shantae Joseph is actually only pointing out something that's already happening. She's not creating a phenomenon. She's just calling all of us to ask ourselves why. What I loved about her video is that it really took it to the root of the fact that we are experiencing a shift in how much having a boyfriend is a milestone people are chasing to need to have in their life. One of the things I love that she talked about is that the first time she found that she had a boyfriend, that's when she truly felt like a woman. She went and got her nails done. She went and got a trench coat, because everything that has been fed to us is that having a boyfriend is a milestone in becoming a woman. And that is no longer the case. We've gone past it being a milestone to becoming a woman, and now women realizing that having a boyfriend can actually detract from some of the societal value and aura that they have built up. Is it so much so that having a boyfriend is embarrassing or shameful? Or is the deeper issue that having a boyfriend no longer brings as much societal value as it once did? Now let's get a man's perspective, and by a man, I mean a real man, a critical thinking man. What I loved about this is that he looked at this article and said, first of all, anybody who's saying that this just has to do with women is not tapped in and not critically thinking. This absolutely has to do with men. And maybe having a boyfriend is embarrassing because men are embarrassing. And maybe men need to do a better job increasing their value, increasing their contributions to women's lives. And then they will be happy to feel like men are the prize again. Because right now, men are not getting a participation prize. I implore you to go check it out because he's trying to rally his side together to understand that this is a wake-up call for them to get it together. Lastly, there is no take that I loved more than this one, that went back into the archives to prove that in Sex and the City, there is no woman who is a better mascot for the fact that having a boyfriend is embarrassing than Miranda.
She was a person with drive, will, ambition, and was the one that would confront her friends and herself about their obsession with men.
Wake up, Carrie. How many more times are you going to go through this? He is bad for you. Jesus, every time you get near him, you turn into this pathetic, needy, insecure victim. And the thing that pisses me off the most is that you're more than willing to go right back for more.
So what about us? What we think, we feel, we know. Christ. Does it always have to be about them? Just, give me a call when you're ready to talk about something besides men for a change.
And not only is she a case study because she stood 10 toes down on that opinion in the beginning, but we saw how having a man in her life ruined everything that she had tried to build up. This article is not a case of saying that all men are horrible and that if you choose to be in a partnership, that is a horrible decision. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is currently the societal value of being in a relationship has decreased to the point where only those who are actually gaining value and love from the relationship are experiencing what we were all promised. And anybody else who is just in the relationship because they were told, well, you'll get married and you'll make your life better, they're not seeing those gains. And if anything, they're putting the relationship in the back seat and stepping into the fact that women are really claiming their identity and having an identity of their own.
No, it's not that nobody reads anymore. It's just that no one really wants to think critically anymore, especially when the conclusion of a piece is one that they agree with. I still think it's important, though, that when we read something, we're able to integrate the information and draw our own conclusions. And I think this is a great article. I think the author does a great job of laying out example after example after example of how women and our online behaviors are so heavily influenced by shame. I think maybe that's what I took to be a given in the article that maybe wasn't jumping out at everyone. I don't think it's that no one reads, but I'll share some screenshots. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna start with the title. Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? What's another word for embarrassment? Shame, right? We're talking about shame, we're talking about embarrassment here. That's the framing around all of this. And you'll see in the evidence and the anecdotal evidence that she provides, the focus really is about shame and the social consequences of online behavior for women. We're not really even talking about the very real consequences of dating a shitty man. We're just talking about the social repercussions, often at the hands of other women, right? But let's get into it. She starts really strong, and again, I think this is a great article. She gives us a great snapshot of what the dating culture was, which is that women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man. So it used to be a very precious source of social capital to have a man, right? To be in a relationship with a man. Then she says, however, more recently, there's been a pronounced shift in the way people showcase their relationships online. Again, we're focusing on the way women are posting and sharing their relationships. She doesn't really get into whether or not women are choosing to be in relationships. She does at the end a little bit. But for the most part, this article is about social media. It's about how women perform femininity as it pertains to their relationships. And she gets into that. She's like, what's going on? Women are obscuring their partner's face when they post as if they want to erase the fact that they exist without actually not posting them. So what gives? Are people embarrassed by their boyfriends now? Again, embarrassment, shame, or something more complicated going on? That's a great question. I also think something more complicated is going on. Her hypothesis is that this complicated culture of how women are posting their men less is a result of women wanting to straddle two worlds, one where they can receive the social benefits of having a partner, but also not appear so boyfriend obsessed that they come across as quite culturally loser-ish, right? So again, we're talking about really shallow subject matter, and this isn't a dig at the author, because I think social media is inherently shallow, right? It's all performance. But that's what we're talking about. And she gives a lot of examples of women talking about how they are choosing not to post the men they're with. This woman had been in a relationship for 12 years, never posted her boyfriend. Relationship ended, and she feels very strongly and feels very good about her choice because she feels that men, even after 12 years, will embarrass you, right? And claiming them feels lame. This one was funny. This girl says, like, why does having a boyfriend feel Republican? Boyfriends are out of style. They won't come back in until they start acting right. Okay. Okay, even partnered women will lament men and heterosexuality, partly in solidarity with other women, but also because it is now fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. There is something cringy and embarrassing about constantly posting your partner these days, right? So all the evidence that she gives us, the meat of this article, is examples of women struggling with how they should perform their womanhood given this shift now that boyfriends aren't cool. And what I'm saying, okay, now my opinion, and I'll get into her conclusion because I think it's a great one, but what I'm saying is that we need to think so much bigger than just aura points. Like, embarrassment is the tip of the iceberg of the harm that a man can inflict on a woman. And this whole article, and this is a Vogue article, right? Vogue is all about trends and commenting on trends and forecasting trends. So I'm not, again, like, I think this is a great opinion piece for the publication and for the time. And it is pointing to a change. Like, I love that it's no longer the trophy that it used to be picked by a man. I love that. But this focus on shame does nothing to actually liberate women from the pressure to perform. And we're still expecting women to affirm their womanhood online. Before it was by showing off their boyfriend, now it's by, like, hiding him, right? Because the conclusion isn't even, like, less women have boyfriends. The conclusion is, like, oh, well, I won't be embarrassed by one. I won't post him. That does nothing for anyone. Like I said, embarrassment is the tip of the iceberg. So when we're focusing on performances and appearances, we're not really getting at the actual harm that many men inflict on women. We're not talking about boundaries. We're not talking about any of the shit that matters. And that's all I'm saying, is I wish we would talk less about how it's cool or uncool to have a boyfriend, and I wish we would talk more about empowering women to set boundaries, empowering women to communicate and to self-advocate, because performing and seeming cool online doesn't help you do any of those things, and it will not protect you from a piece of shit man. Okay, and here's her conclusion, which again I think is strong. She says, as straight women, we're confronting something that every other sexuality has had to contend with, a politicization of our identity. True. She says, however, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're being forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. I think that's a great conclusion. I think perhaps that's true. I don't see that anywhere in the article, right? I don't see women questioning heterosexuality. I see women hiding their boyfriends because they're scared to look lame, or they're scared to, like, lose aura points, or they're scared to look cringe or boyfriend obsessed. And I agree, it's cringy to seem boyfriend obsessed. But what I'm saying is that as women, we need to care about the bigger shit. And she brings it back to that in the end, but this isn't an article about that. And all of the anecdotes in the article, which is what I'm speaking to, because people love to say, like, oh, she didn't read the article. Most of the article is anecdotes of women saying that they feel weird posting their man because it's not cool. And I just don't think that that's worthy of the discussion that is now following on TikTok. I think the stuff that she brings up at the end is worthy of discussion, but we're not discussing it. I'm glad that I can get the ball rolling maybe in a better direction. Please take it from here, because I think I'm kind of done talking about this online.
Vogue just posted an article saying having a boyfriend is embarrassing. I think for men, this is a wake-up call. To the smart, independent woman with good salary, nice place, we provide no benefit. We are no longer the priority. In fact, we're probably a burden to them. We need to realize having a girlfriend is a privilege, and our duty is to raise them up and make them the most successful version of themselves. That might mean doing the laundry and picking up the dishes. It might mean working harder to support them so they can go back to school. It might mean just focusing on ourselves more to be the best versions of ourselves, to inspire them to want to do the same. I think a healthy relationship involves both people raising each other up to be the best versions of themselves and doing whatever they can to support that person to be able to do that. Right now, I don't think men are doing that. I think men don't really provide a benefit. We need to figure out how to provide that benefit so we are no longer embarrassing. Vogue just posted an article saying having a boyfriend is embarrassing.
Hey, it's the guy who made that video there. I just wanted to respond to a few comments, mostly from men who apparently do not want to be called out or be held accountable. I just want to say this video got 9 million views, 1 million comments or something, tons of other videos that were made with lots of views. The article itself blew up. Clearly, it's striking a chord. The writer of this article did not create a problem. It was something that was already happening, she pointed out, and a lot of people agree. Let's step back and ask ourselves why. I think a lot of men need to get it in their brain that men are a liability to women. They don't want to deal with us anymore. Every woman friend I have has some kind of story of, oh, this guy stalked me for a while. This guy wouldn't leave me alone. I have a friend who, oh, he broke into my apartment and stole all my knives to send a message. I have another woman friend who she woke up in the middle of the night to a guy sitting at the foot of her bed who said, if you got to know me, you'd really like me. He had been stalking her for months. That's insane behavior. But if 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20, 30 guys is going to be like that, it's not worth the risk anymore for a woman to deal with that. They don't want the emotional, the physical abuse, the lying and the cheating. It's easier to just not deal with it. That's not even really what the article is about also, but I think that's what basically it incited, was this sort of discussion. I also want to say, I got a couple people point out that this video is inciting a gender war. No, the video is me saying, be a better guy. That's it. I just want men to be better so that women will like us again. So just work on that. The last comment I want to reflect on was one that really tickled me. It was a guy saying, well, if women don't need men anymore, who's going to build all the houses and fix all the cars? Women can do that. There are women construction workers and women mechanics, so they can. I think those fields are notoriously misogynistic and sexist, so I imagine women just don't go into those fields because they don't want to be harassed. Though if men didn't exist, I imagine they could get into those industries. That said, that's not the point I was making. They don't need men as partners. They don't need boyfriends anymore. Who's going to build all the houses and the cars? Single guys. And the people paying for the houses and paying to get their car fixed, single women. That's the issue. We need to be better men to not have that happen. How we do that is we build empathy. We work on ourselves. We go to therapy. We read female authors. We get hobbies outside of the sports that we like. Become a vulnerable person for a second. Try new things. Get a worldview beyond your own worldview. That's how you become a better guy. That's how women will like us again. I hope that helped. Let me know if you have comments on this. Always can respond more.
Hey girl, you got a little time to laugh? Okay. Last week, this article went triple platinum in British Vogue. It's called, Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now? I fear the answer is yes. Okay, so before you say, this sounds like single women talking, quiet coyote. She only interviewed women in relationships for this article, and they're embarrassed of y'all. Imagine that. Who is doing the public relations for straight men in 2025? Please come to the front, because you're fired. You're doing a terrible job. I know the product is problematic, so maybe that's why it's so hard to sell it, but every day I get on this app, and there's a 62-part series from a girl who thinks she met the love of her life, and she's living with him but doing all the work because he don't do girl work. Or she's a single mother but she's married and he lives in the house. Ooh, yuck. Whoever doing the PR for married women, y'all also doing a bad job because I don't want it. I stopped dating this dude once because he couldn't even tell me that he liked me. He'd be like, Maria, I fucks with you. And I'd be like, what does that mean? And he'd be like, I fucks with you. Sorry? Are you trying to say that you like me? Nah, what would my boys think if they heard me talking like that? Are they here? Are your boys here? Okay, I didn't know you was gay. Happy Pride. Why are you thinking about them when you with me? Okay? Yuck. multiple levels and layers of ick. A lot of these men think that they're the prize, but I don't feel like I want anything. Also, if y'all gonna refuse to go to therapy and you think that you are the prize, you should be a top tier physical specimen. Why, as a man, you don't have no abs? Huh? Where are the abs?
By now, you've probably seen or heard about this viral British Vogue article called Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now by Shantae Joseph, and I'm going to tell you why some women believe that it is. I think the more some women reveal via social media what their life is actually like behind closed doors with some of these men, it is revealed that a lot of them are living in a humiliation ritual. Like the video that went viral not that long ago about the woman who was like, I'm going to see how many seconds it takes for my husband to come in when he hears the shower turn on for him to want to join me. And this man emerges like a warden in a prison, looking at her like, how dare you think you're about to shower without me? And women are like, why would I put up with that for the sake of having a man? Or the men that will ask women questions like, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I ask for a sandwich, are you going to get up and make it? And you have all these women saying, yes, I would. These women don't understand. This is how you get and keep a man. And women are saying, why are y'all jumping through these hoops in order to be in partnership? You have these men who swear they're father of the year, but they know nothing about their own children. Hair color, eye color, birthday. They don't know about the child's peanut allergy. The reason why they think that they're doing so well is because she's always signing his name on the card, literally and figuratively. You have these women giving up their dreams of being a doctor, a lawyer, a ballerina, whatever it is, just so this man can live his dream. These women cook, clean, do all the sacrificing, are an acrobat in the bedroom just to still get a hey girly text from some other woman because that man is cheating. Women are constantly humiliating themselves publicly for these men, and women are like, what are y'all doing all this for? Is the juice even worth the squeeze? It's obvious that women make men's life better, but it's becoming harder to see how men make women's life better.
Can't stop thinking about that Vogue article. Is it embarrassing to have a boyfriend? Because honestly, my last real relationship was 5 years ago. I've had situationships, things that have lasted a few months, blah, blah, blah. But the last real thing was 5 years ago. I have gotten so much done. I have 2 Ivy League degrees. I've started a business. I've been on Broadway. I have been speak Italian. So I learned how to cook. I learned how to garden. I really love to garden. I didn't know how to do that before, but now I have gorgeous flowers in my house. I've learned all these skills. I've kind of learned how to code. I've learned about personal growth and finance. The list goes on. I've achieved so much. And honestly, it's really dope. I'm having a great time.
I read the Vogue article, Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing? And while this wasn't the main point of the article, I thought it was interesting that women are saying they don't want to post their boyfriends online because of the evil eye and because if their relationship doesn't work out, they won't want to be embarrassed. And to that, I have a couple things to say. One, in a relationship, you have to be vulnerable. You have to show up authentically yourself and you have to show up open. And sometimes open means you are possibly going to be hurt by the other person's actions. That is all fair in love and war, right? You cannot stop somebody from hurting you. You cannot stop somebody from cheating. You cannot stop somebody from embarrassing you. Because at the end of the day, if you value other people's opinions, you are going to be embarrassed because there is nothing embarrassing about somebody doing you wrong when you showed up with good intentions. When you showed up authentically yourself, open and ready to love that person, and they did you dirty. They are the ones that should be embarrassed. So if you are embarrassed, your ego is too tied up in the success of the relationship, and you care about what other people think entirely too much. That's all I know.
Let's jump into my favorite part of all of the content I post on YouTube, and that's just my thoughts, where I get to kind of express what I feel about whatever we have read or gone over. So let's get into it. So from those lovely TikTok clips, let's jump into some of the 5 core concepts I felt were necessary to pull out from these videos and, convey to you as a relationship coach. So number 1, it's not the relationship that's embarrassing, it's the misalignment. So women aren't rejecting partnership itself. They're rejecting low return partnerships that drain their peace, resources, or self-worth. The embarrassment isn't in being chosen. It's in staying where you're not cherished, and many times where you're disrespected and abused. So here's an alignment audit. Here's an action I want you to take. Coach to future client. Ask, what do I gain emotionally, spiritually, and practically from this relationship? Next, I want you to do a self-worth check-in. If you shrink your voice or dim your value to maintain peace, that's not love, that's self-betrayal. And this can often look like, I want to give you some examples, you not talking about your wins at work, you not going for a promotion at work, you saying nothing when you do achieve something at work because your partner feels insecure or you know they would raise a lot of hell about it. It also looks like you not pursuing your dreams, you not trying new things because of things your partner, how it might trigger them or make them feel bad about themselves. Here's a news flash. You 9 times out of 10 cannot make a equal partnered adult in a relationship. You can't make them feel any way. What's going on is they have unresolved things within that instead of addressing them, they are projecting them on you, the partner. Number 2, another core concept that came up I want to talk about is stop performing love, start living it. So the soft launch era isn't empowerment if you're hiding your relationship out of shame. The goal isn't privacy out of fear, it's authenticity rooted in peace. True confidence doesn't need a post to prove it. Now, I want to be very clear about something that people often get confused. There is a difference between somebody being private and someone keeping you a secret. Please be aware of that. So here is an authenticity filter. Before posting or explaining your relationship, ask, am I sharing from pride or proving from pain? Very important, because if you haven't unpacked your prior relationship triggers or failures or etc., you may be posting for the wrong reasons. And one of them is to prove your still unhealed self, to prove a point to your still unhealed self. And that's not healthy. Next, I want you to do a 30-day presence challenge. So focus on connection offline. Track how safety, affection, and honesty improve when love isn't a public performance. Third core concept I want to talk about is standards are sexy, boundaries are braver. It's not that boyfriends are embarrassing. It's that too many women are accepting men who haven't earned partnership. Boundaries don't scare away real men. They reveal them. Because to be very honest, at our big grown ages, a man who wants you and is serious about you, he's not going to play about you. And he will respect the boundaries in place that he has to honor in order to have access to you. Understand this isn't about money. This is all about a man's intention and authenticity towards you. So let's look at a standard script. I value consistency, care, and communication, and I won't negotiate with anyone who treats them as optional. That's just an example. I want you to take some time and spend 20-30 minutes and come up with a quick 30-second standard script that you can recite to yourself to reaffirm those boundaries and standards that you will apply consistently in your own dating life. Next, let's look at a red flag rule. So if you have to explain why something basic like respect, effort, honesty matters more than once, it's no longer a discussion, it's data. So when you go out and you're meeting men and even online and you have to explain some pretty core concepts to grown ass men, girl, he's not the one. Leave that man alone. He needs time to grow and mature, and he's on his own path. And it has nothing to do with you. Because once again, what do I always say? It is not your job to mother, mentor, or manage your romantic partner. It's not your job. Core concept number 4. Reciprocity is the real flex. A healthy man adds to your life emotionally, logistically, financially, energetically, spiritually, and gives you a feeling of safety. The embarrassment comes from doing all the heavy lifting while he does nothing but coast. And a question that I always shoot back at any man who said it, it's only been very few, is when men say they're a high value man, I look at them in all sincerity and say, well, what or they are the prize, what prize am I winning if I would deal with you? And when they start talking about things that just sound like labor and lowering my standard of living, I say, who would want that? And then they can't answer. So anyway, a coaching action that I want you to take here is an energy ledger. Write down what you give versus what you receive in a typical week. This isn't as much about keeping tally as it is about you becoming aware. And a lot of times you are aware, but putting it down in black and white on paper so you can no longer run from potentially the truth of your situation. If your columns don't balance or they're not, relatively similar, it's time for a recalibration conversation and potentially the end of that relationship or whatever you call it. And then another exercise is to look at a reciprocity framework. Stop asking, does he like me? And start asking, do his actions lift me? Okay? Do his actions lift me? That is a real one right there, because it will quickly reveal if you're with someone who is trying to undermine, manipulate, self-sabotage, kill your self-esteem, etc. And the last core concept that I wanted to bring up is choose a man who compliments you, not one who competes with you. This is big, especially in today's dating environment. Too many women are out here dimming brilliance to soothe fragile egos. That's not your job. The right partner isn't intimidated by your power, your intelligence, your drive, your ambition, nor your achievements. He's inspired by them. The wrong one will make you question your shine, and he will probably try to do a lot to sabotage you, bring harm to you, and he may even steal from you. So here's a coaching action. Power couple visualization. This is from our girlies who like to daydream and write. Journal about what partnership looks like when both people thrive emotionally, financially, spiritually. You might reveal a lot of things that you didn't really know you wanted, or you were too maybe concerned to vocalize. Next, try this, an upgrade reminder. You are not hard to love. You've just been choosing partners who don't know how to love at your level. So take all of these prompts into account for each of the core concepts I mentioned. Also leave a comment below because I'm curious about what your thoughts are on this conversation and this article. Read the article, by the way. It actually is quite insightful and very reflective. Now that was a lot to unpack, but it was necessary. Listen, sis, it's not embarrassing to want love. What's embarrassing is lowering your standards, ignoring red flags, and calling it connection. When you start operating from your healed energy instead of your hopeful energy, you stop being afraid to lose the wrong man. If this episode hit home, you already know the next step. Head over to my Ko-fi page where I post weekly journaling prompts, EFT tapping exercises, and coaching reflections to help you build high-value emotional discipline and attract love that feels like peace. And if you're ready for personalized support, check out my one-on-ones and group coaching options under the Successful Invisible. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe because we're not just dating out here, we're evolving. See you in the next one, gorgeous.